So this gist match is great, but it doesn't really need to be both users. We'll see why once we actually build the final matching algorithm. But this is coming through and it's doing both users, and it's kind of iterating through everything. But I refactored it and made it a little bit simpler by adding this new function here. This is the exact same thing, it's just smaller. So if you see here, we've got A answers and B answers versus user A answers and user B, and then it checks the questions, and then it gets the preference and the answer, and then it gives a total awarded amount, just like what we see here. So the reason I'm doing it only one-sided is because we can run this function and all we need to do is switch the users here, but the algorithm itself is just doing one instead of being too complicated and having two. Okay, so if we actually ran this, let's ran both of these. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, paste it in here. We see that Khaleesi 0, James Bond 0, Khaleesi. All right, so now if we go down to get points, let's just do the user C as the same way. So we'll do user C here and Khaleesi. Comment those out. So I'll copy this get points, this new get points function, and it gives Khaleesi awarded 0 points to James Bond awarded 200 to Khaleesi, 0 James 200 Khaleesi. Cool. So that's the exact same function, just cleaned up a little bit. Okay, so since we have this, we need to start thinking about the averages. So that means the total amount of points possible have to be included in this. All right, so if I say A total, or let's just say A points possible equals to 0. So no matter what, we want to, no matter if the preference is correct, we want to add points possible in here. So right underneath this, we'll add points possible is equal to their points. Whatever their points are, like so their answer, or whatever it is, we want to have the points possible. So A answers is the user A. So we're getting user A's possible points for the person. So this awards them points. So we'll say 1, 2, 3. We'll just put a little note here and say awards points for correct answer. And this is assigning total points. Assigning total points. All right, so now that we have this, let's go ahead and update our print statement here. Awarded however many points of total points possible. Okay, so now that we've got this, let's go ahead and run this. And now we see Khaleesi has awarded 0 points of 200 to James Bond. James Bond has awarded 200 points of 200 points to Khaleesi. Cool, so now that we can do this, we can have averages of these two numbers. But the challenge here comes up with how do we actually average this? Because just because you got 100% from me and I get 0% from you, what's our average there? And how do we actually calculate that? So this is going to go into a more mathematical concept called geometric mean versus arithmetic mean. So that's actually something we need to discuss. So let's discuss those things in the next one, and then we'll come back to this algorithm, and we'll actually figure out how to make it better. All right, so we'll see you in the next one.